Have you ever wondered what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary? Why do some people command respect, influence, and admiration effortlessly, while others struggle to maintain their composure under pressure? The secret lies in a timeless trait: self-control. Imagine a warrior facing chaos on the battlefield, unmoved by fear or distraction. Or consider a leader who remains calm in the face of turmoil, inspiring loyalty and confidence. What if I told you that this isn't just a myth? It's a skill you can develop. Today, we unlock the teachings of Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who believed that true strength begins within. Through his profound insights, you'll discover how mastering your impulses can leave others in awe and, most importantly, transform your life. Let's embark on this journey to turn the power of self-control into a weapon that leaves a lasting impression. From the outset, it's essential to understand that Nietzsche's philosophy reshapes our conventional ideas of strength and power. In a world obsessed with external validation, dominance, and superficial displays of force, Nietzsche prompts us to look inward, to seek a different kind of mastery, one that is rooted in self-control and inner resilience. Nietzsche believed that true strength is not measured by how loud your voice is, how forcefully you assert yourself, or how many possessions you accumulate. Instead, real power resides quietly within, an unshakable fortress built through mastery over your impulses, desires, and reactions. Nietzsche famously declared that the best friend of a man is himself, emphasizing that the deepest form of strength is self-sufficiency, an independence from the chaos of external circumstances and internal weaknesses alike. Imagine a hero in ancient myth or legend, someone like Achilles. His true strength wasn't just in his physical prowess, but in his ability to control his rage and choose how to act in moments of extreme emotional turmoil. Achilles knew that giving in to fury could cost him everything, yet he also understood that true heroism involved self-restraint. This idea echoes Nietzsche's assertion that strength isn't just about the raw power you possess, but about your ability to channel that power wisely. In reality, many battles within are fought in silence, wars with fear, doubt, laziness, or temptation. Nietzsche's philosophy suggests that how you manage these internal battles defines you far more than any external victory. It's the difference between a fleeting moment of passion and a lifelong habit of discipline. Think about someone you admire, perhaps a mentor, a historical figure, or even a personal hero, someone who maintained their composure when others faltered. What made them remarkable wasn't their external achievements alone, but how they wielded their internal strength when challenges arose. Take, for example, the story of the Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, who faced the chaos of the Roman Empire while remaining centered through relentless adversity. His ability to remain disciplined, to keep his emotions in check despite chaos, exemplifies Nietzsche's vision of power. Strength rooted not in external circumstances, but in internal mastery. To truly understand Nietzsche's view, envision a sword. A sword isn't powerful because it's shiny or heavy alone. Its true strength comes from the skill of the wielder, the ability to control its edge, to strike with precision, and to wield it with purpose. Similarly, human strength is forged in the crucible of self-control. The more you hone this inner discipline, the more your actions become deliberate and impactful. You stop reacting impulsively and start acting intentionally, an act of tremendous strength in itself. Moreover, Nietzsche believed that such mastery elevates a person beyond the herd, the common crowd that reacts instinctively, driven by fleeting passions. When you achieve a high level of self-control, you no longer need to chase external validation because your sense of worth comes from within. That's an empowering realization. True strength is about becoming self-reliant, about standing firm in your convictions, and about resisting the temptation to be swayed by superficial desires. The journey toward this kind of strength requires courage. courage to face your own weaknesses head-on, to confront your impulses, and to develop resilience in the face of life's unpredictability. Nietzsche challenges us to ask, are we content with living passively, responding to external stimuli like leaves in the wind? Or do we aspire to be the masters of our own destiny, forging a character rooted in firm principles and disciplined action? This foundation of internal strength doesn't just impress others, it transforms you. It breeds confidence, a calm resolve that doesn't waver under pressure. When others see someone who remains unperturbed amid chaos, that individual leaves behind a silent, powerful message. I am in control of myself. That quiet assertion can be more persuasive and more intimidating than any loud display of dominance. So, in essence, Nietzsche's idea of strength is revolutionary. It asks us to look beyond superficial displays and to cultivate an unyielding inner fortress. It's a strength that develops quietly over time through discipline, reflection, and intentional living. When mastered, this inner power becomes a source of awe for others and, most importantly, for ourselves. Because the real victory lies not in overpowering others, but in conquering ourselves, an achievement that leaves everyone else speechless, not with arrogance, but with genuine respect. To master self-control, it's essential to first understand where impulses originate and what sustains them. At their core, impulses are the raw, often unconscious drives that push us toward immediate gratification. Whether it's the craving for sugar when we're stressed, the urge to lash out in anger, or the desire to seek recognition at any cost. These impulses are deeply rooted in our biological and psychological makeup, shaped by millions of years of evolution that prioritized survival and reproduction. Imagine for a moment a young child in a candy store. Their eyes light up at the sight of sweets, and they want to grab everything within reach. It's instinctual, an impulsive desire driven by a primal part of the brain that prioritizes pleasure and short-term satisfaction. As adults, however, we learn to suppress these urges. But that suppression isn't always effortless. Sometimes it feels like a battle within, a tug-of-war between our higher reasoning and our primitive urges. Nietzsche recognized that humans are a complex interplay of conflicting forces. We possess the capacity for reason, self-awareness, and discipline, but also harbor urges that seek immediate relief. To truly master ourselves, we need to understand these urges, not deny them, but acknowledge their existence and their role in shaping our behavior. One way to understand impulses is to think of them as symptomatically related to unmet needs or unresolved emotional states. For example, the compulsive binge eating that some experience might stem from an attempt to soothe loneliness or anxiety. The aggressive reaction in a heated argument may arise from feelings of inadequacy or fear. By tracing impulses back to their root causes, emotional, psychological, or physical, we can begin to see them not as enemies to be eradicated, but as signals that require compassionate understanding. Consider the story of a person who struggles with anger. Every time they feel disrespected or slighted, a surge of rage boils within them. The immediate response might be to lash out, but beneath that outburst is often a deeper wound, an unmet need for respect, love, or security. Recognizing this, they can work on healing the underlying issue rather than merely suppressing the anger. This approach echoes Nietzsche's emphasis on understanding oneself fully, the starting point for genuine self-control. Furthermore, impulses are reinforced by habit and environment. Someone who repeatedly surrenders to the temptation of procrastination, for example, feeds a cycle that becomes harder to break over time. Habits, both good and bad, are the brain's way of conserving energy. Once an impulse becomes habitual, acting on it requires less conscious effort. This means that our environment plays a crucial role in either strengthening or weakening our impulses. If you're surrounded by indulgent foods, noisy distractions, or trivial social media feeds, you're essentially setting up your mind to give in more easily. Conversely, creating environments that foster discipline, such as designated time for focused work, minimal distractions, or healthy routines, can help rewire the brain toward better control. It's also important to understand that impulses aren't inherently evil or to be suppressed entirely. Instead, Nietzsche teaches the importance of giving impulses their rightful place, recognizing them without blindly obeying them. This awareness is the first step in transforming impulsive reactions into deliberate, purposeful actions. Take the example of a successful entrepreneur who faces daily temptations to cut corners or prioritize short-term gains over long-term vision. Instead of succumbing, they acknowledge these impulses but choose to act in alignment with their core values and goals. Their mastery over impulses makes them resilient and trustworthy, not because they never feel temptation, but because they see it clearly and choose a different path. Understanding impulses also involves recognizing our emotional triggers. Stress, fatigue, insecurity, or a sense of powerlessness often heighten impulsiveness. When we're exhausted or overwhelmed, our ability to pause and reflect diminishes, making us more vulnerable to reacting impulsively. Nietzsche believed that developing strength involves cultivating awareness, being sensitive enough to notice the first signs of impulse rising, and having the discipline to pause before acting. An illustrative story is that of a person trying to quit smoking. They experience moments of intense craving, an impulse to light a cigarette. Instead of immediately giving in, they recognize the craving as a transient wave. They breathe deeply or distract themselves, understanding that this surge will pass if they don't surrender instantly. Over time, this practice weakens the power of that impulse, allowing the individual to regain control. When you begin to understand the roots of your impulses, you also gain empathy toward yourself and others. Recognizing that most impulses are driven by unmet needs or emotional wounds makes it easier to forgive yourself for moments of weakness and more compassionate toward others who struggle with similar battles. This perspective fosters resilience, patience, and a willingness to engage. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy lies a powerful and dynamic force, the will to power. While often misunderstood as a desire for dominance over others, Nietzsche's true emphasis was on the internal, personal aspect, the unyielding drive to grow, improve, and assert a higher version of oneself. This internal will is the engine that propels us to transcend our limitations and forge a resilient, unwavering character. Imagine a blacksmith working tirelessly at his anvil, hammering away tirelessly to shape raw metal into a weapon. Each strike demands effort, focus, and perseverance. It's a process of relentless discipline. Nietzsche saw human life similarly, as a craft requiring continuous effort, pushing against the soft, complacent parts of ourselves to forge something stronger, nobler. This is the essence of the will to overcome, a relentless internal drive to conquer laziness, doubt, fear, and temptation, transforming them into sources of strength. To tap into this willpower, a person must first recognize that true mastery is not achieved through sporadic bursts of motivation, but through the cultivation of everyday discipline. It's about making small, consistent choices that reinforce your commitment to growth. Think of the athlete who trains hours every day, not because they just feel like it, but because they understand that discipline is the key to excellence. Nietzsche believed that such persistent effort, driven by an internal desire for self-improvement, accumulates over time into a formidable force. This drive isn't about denying or suppressing impulses, but rather about channeling them into constructive outlets. For instance, anger or frustration, if properly harnessed, can become fuel for action rather than destructive rage. The fire of emotion, if directed correctly, can forge resilience and determination. Nietzsche urged us to see emotions not as enemies, but as raw material that, when understood and managed, can propel us forward. One of the profound stories illustrating this is that of the ancient Spartan warriors. They were not just physically powerful, but mentally disciplined. They practiced relentless training, embraced hardship, and cultivated resilience. Their will to overcome every obstacle set before them elevated them from mere soldiers to legendary figures. Nietzsche admired such individuals because they embodied a spirit that refused to surrender to weakness or comfort, but instead sought growth through hardship. Developing the will to overcome requires a conscious decision, a commitment to accept discomfort as a necessary step toward greatness. There's a famous story about a mountain climber who, facing treacherous weather and exhaustion, still pushes forward. When asked why they don't give up, they reply, "Because the summit is worth every struggle." This mindset is exactly what Nietzsche champions, viewing difficulties and setbacks not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen your resolve. In practical terms, this means setting deliberate challenges for yourself, things that test your limits and push you beyond your comfort zone. It could be waking up early every morning, practicing a skill daily, or enduring small sacrifices for a greater purpose. The key is consistency. Nietzsche believed that character is built slowly, like a sculptor chiseling away at marble, each strike refining and shaping until a masterpiece emerges. Moreover, the will to overcome is intimately tied to the idea of mastery over oneself rather than over others. Nietzsche argued that true power arises from within, that mastery over desires, fears, and impulses is the highest form of strength. When you continually choose discipline over instant gratification, you become a more independent, resilient individual. You don't depend on external circumstances or validation. Instead, your power is rooted in an unwavering internal drive. This internal drive also requires an enormous amount of courage, the courage to face your weaknesses honestly and to confront discomfort head-on. It means resisting the temptation to take shortcuts, to seek quick fixes, or to surrender when things get tough. Nietzsche's philosophy inspires us to see every struggle as a vital part of our growth. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, as he's often paraphrased. While this quotation is popular, it encapsulates a vital truth. Growth often comes through facing adversity with resilience and resolve. Building this will isn't about forcing yourself into unnatural states of relentless effort, but about cultivating a mindset that welcomes challenges as opportunities. The more you practice facing difficulty with calm and persistence, the more your will becomes fortified. It's a mental muscle, one that grows stronger the more you use it. An illustrative example is someone undergoing a period of sobriety or weight loss. Each day of resisting temptation, whether it's to indulge or to give up, reinforces their inner strength. Over time, these small victories accumulate, transforming their mindset from one of occasional effort to one of unwavering discipline. The person begins to see setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow stronger. Nietzsche's idea of the overcoming will also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. Detachment is often misunderstood as indifference or emotional suppression. However, Nietzsche's concept of detachment is far more nuanced and empowering. It involves a conscious but balanced distancing from external validation, fleeting emotions, and transient circumstances, allowing you to maintain a steady inner state regardless of what's happening around you. This is not about apathy or coldness. It is about cultivating an inner sanctuary, a sense of calm and clarity that remains unshaken amid chaos. Imagine a captain steering her ship through a raging storm. The wind howls, the waves crash against the hull, and the sky darkens. Yet she remains calm, focused on her course, trusting her instruments and experience. Her detachment from the storm's chaos allows her to navigate safely and effectively. This image encapsulates Nietzsche's ideal of inner detachment, remaining centered regardless of external turbulence. To attain this level of calm, one must develop a perspective that values inner stability over external circumstances. Nietzsche believed that most suffering arises from attachment to desires, opinions, possessions, or even our own identities. We chase after approval, possessions, perfection, or control, and in doing so, we become vulnerable to disappointment and frustration when these external things falter or vanish. Let's consider the human tendency to seek validation from others. Society often conditions us to crave recognition, praise, and social status. When these are not forthcoming or are withdrawn, we feel hurt, angry, or defeated. Nietzsche challenges us to step back from this dependency and realize that true strength comes from within. When you detach your self-worth from external validation, you reclaim your sovereignty. You no longer need the applause of others to feel whole. Instead, your sense of self is rooted in your internal values and discipline. This detachment begins with perspective. When you're able to see situations, people, and even setbacks as transient events rather than defining features of your identity, you develop a resilience that can't be shaken. For example, imagine receiving criticism at work. Rather than reacting defensively or feeling personally attacked, detachment allows you to objectively assess the feedback. You might recognize that the criticism reflects someone else's perspective or a temporary circumstance rather than a fundamental flaw in your character. Another critical aspect of detachment is the capacity to view pain, failure, or disappointment as essential components of growth rather than signs of weakness. Nietzsche famously embraced the notion of amor fati, love of fate, meaning that one should accept all aspects of life, including suffering, as necessary and even desirable for self-overcoming. When you detach from the emotional weight of setbacks, you're better equipped to analyze them rationally and learn from them, rather than being overwhelmed or consumed by them. Practicing detachment also involves developing a robust perspective on time. Nietzsche viewed the present moment as a fleeting point in a vast, ongoing process. Clinging to past glories or anxiously fearing future failures drains energy and distracts from the here and now. When you detach from these temporal illusions, you focus on what truly matters: your current mindset, your discipline, your intentions. This mindful perspective builds resilience because it anchors you in reality rather than perceptions or illusions. One practical method for cultivating detachment is mindfulness. By observing your thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them, you create space, an interval where you can choose your response. For instance, when anger arises, instead of acting impulsively, you pause, observe the sensation, and remind yourself that this feeling is temporary and not a reflection of your true self. This mental pause deepens your awareness and weakens the automatic grip of impulses. Nietzsche also emphasized the importance of maintaining perspective, seeing life's challenges as part of a larger process. Think of a sculptor chiseling away at a marble block. The rough, painful process is necessary to reveal the masterpiece within. Detachment allows you to approach difficulties not as personal failures, but as necessary steps in your evolution. It's about understanding that setbacks are not final. They are opportunities to refine yourself. Furthermore, detachment facilitates humility, an acknowledgement of your limitations, and the understanding that life's unpredictability is inevitable. This humility is not a form of weakness, but a source of inner strength. It cultivates flexibility, openness to change, and resilience in the face of adversity. When you detach from rigid expectations or fixed identities, you become adaptable and resilient, traits that exude calmness and inspire respect. A story that illustrates this beautifully is that of the keen observer. Imagine a seasoned martial artist who, after years of dedicated practice, approaches each sparring match with a calm, open mind. Whether winning or losing, they do not become overly attached to outcomes. Their focus is on continual improvement, adjusting, learning, and staying centered regardless of external results. This internal detachment becomes their greatest weapon, as it prevents ego from clouding judgment and emotional reactions from clouding. Transforming impulses into disciplined actions begins with the profound understanding that self-control is not merely about suppression, but about cultivating a life anchored in deliberate affirmation of your core values and goals. Nietzsche believed that true strength arises from within, when you consciously choose your pathways rather than react impulsively to fleeting urges. This process starts with affirmation, an internal declaration of your commitment to growth and mastery, and is reinforced daily through consistent self-discipline. Many stumble in their pursuit of mastery because they see discipline as a form of self-denial, a dry, joyless austerity. But Nietzsche's view transforms discipline into a celebration of life, a conscious choice to align your actions with your highest aspirations. When you affirm your commitment to certain principles or goals, you give meaning to your actions and create a moral compass that guides you through temptation and distraction. For example, consider someone who aspires to be a writer. Every day they set aside time, even amid the allure of social media, entertainment, or daily distractions. At first, it's a challenge. Temptation whispers, just 5 more minutes of relaxation. But through affirmation, they remind themselves why they embarked on this path, perhaps to express their deepest truths, to impact others, or to fulfill a sense of purpose. This affirmation becomes a mental anchor, strengthening their resolve to stick to their discipline, even when motivation wanes. Nietzsche urged us to live intentionally, making deliberate choices that reflect our higher self. This means daily cultivating habits that reinforce our values. It's about creating a personal code that becomes the foundation of your life. These habits may include waking early to meditate or reflect, journaling your progress, engaging in physical exercise to build resilience, or dedicating time to learning and self-improvement. These routines serve as concrete expressions of your affirmation and act as scaffolding for your growth. The act of affirming oneself is also about shaping your internal narrative, replacing self-doubt and negative self-talk with empowering statements. Nietzsche believed that humans have the remarkable ability to craft their lives through their thoughts and choices. When you affirm your capacity for discipline, resilience, and growth, you reinforce those qualities internally. Over time, these affirmations deepen into a subconscious belief, something that guides your subconscious decisions and reactions with minimal effort. It's crucial to understand that discipline is a skill that requires cultivation. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with regular exercise. Nietzsche viewed this as an act of self-love, respecting oneself enough to invest effort into becoming better. Increasingly, the disciplined person derives satisfaction from the act itself, each small victory reinforcing their inner power. When setbacks occur, rather than abandoning discipline altogether, Nietzsche encourages us to see them as opportunities to reaffirm our goals and recommit ourselves with even greater resolve. Live with purpose. This is a central tenet of Nietzsche's philosophy. Purpose gives direction, focus, and meaning, transforming routine actions into acts of self-creation. Each disciplined choice becomes a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life. For example, an individual who dedicates themselves to daily physical training not only improves their health, but also trains their mind to confront discomfort and delay gratification. This act of living purposefully imbues even mundane routines with significance, fostering a sense of pride and inner strength. Furthermore, this disciplined, intentional living becomes contagious. People are naturally drawn to individuals who operate with clarity and conviction. When you embody a strong sense of purpose anchored in discipline, others sense your integrity and resilience. Nietzsche believed that this inner strength isn't just for personal benefit, but serves as a beacon, an inspiration for others to pursue their own path of mastery. But discipline isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance, the willingness to start again after failure, to maintain effort despite setbacks. Nietzsche insisted that setbacks are part of the process. They are the forge in which character is hardened. Each time you stumble, you have the opportunity to reaffirm your commitment and improve your resolve. This resilience, built through persistent affirmation and discipline, creates an unshakable inner foundation. A powerful story illustrating this is that of a seasoned musician who practices daily, not out of obligation, but out of love for their craft. They acknowledge the difficulty, the long hours of repetition, and the moments of frustration. Yet, each practice session begins with a reaffirmation of their passion and a commitment to mastery. Over time, their discipline pays off, not just in skill, but in mental strength. The act of choosing to show up day after day becomes a testament to their internal mastery, a silent but potent demonstration of self-control. In essence, Nietzsche's idea of living with intention and affirming your highest values transforms discipline from a chore into a form of self-expression. When you make deliberate choices aligned with your purpose, you build a resilient character that naturally radiates confidence and calm. Every day presents us with opportunities, moments where we are tempted to stray from our principles, indulge in desire, or abandon our discipline. Nietzsche viewed these moments not as mere obstacles, but as pivotal tests, profound opportunities for growth and self-affirmation. When you understand that temptation is an intrinsic part of the human experience, you begin to see it not as an enemy to defeat, but as a vital aspect of your journey toward inner mastery. Think of temptation as a fire that tests the mettle of your character. Its intensity varies, sometimes ignited by small, fleeting cravings, other times sparked by deep-seated fears or unmet needs. But whether mild or fierce, the response you choose reveals your true strength. Like a swordsman who blocks a strike with unwavering focus, you become tested the moment desire arises. Your ability to resist or succumb in that instant determines whether you remain a passive victim of impulse or an active creator of your destiny. Nietzsche believed that resisting temptation is indeed a form of artistry, an act of deliberate self-creation. Each time you exercise restraint, you are chiseling away at your weaknesses and sculpting a more resilient, autonomous self. Embracing temptation as a challenge, rather than an inevitability, awakens the warrior within. It's about cultivating a mindset that sees these moments as opportunities to affirm your inner strength. Whether the temptation is to indulge in unhealthy habits, respond impulsively, or chase temporarily satisfying pleasures at the cost of your higher purpose. Picture a person on a diet, standing in front of a tempting slice of cake. It's easy to give in. It's delicious, comforting, and momentarily gratifying. Or they can choose to exercise self-control, reminding themselves of their health goals, their self-respect, and their long-term vision. The moment of choice is their battleground. Choosing restraint in this instance isn't just about resisting food. It's a declaration of mastery over impulses. It's a stance of inner independence that echoes Nietzsche's belief that true strength lies in mastery, not acquiescence. In a broader sense, these tests of temptation function as the crucible in which character is forged. Every act of resistance, however small, molds the mind and spirit, reinforcing discipline and resilience. Over time, just as steel is tempered by fire, your resolve becomes stronger with each act of self-denial. Moreover, facing temptation and resisting it boosts your confidence. You realize that you are capable of steering your life rather than being swept away by fleeting desires, fears, or external influences. An illustrative story is that of a martial artist or meditator who, when faced with the craving to break their diet or skip practice, chooses to pause and reflect. They may acknowledge the craving without judgment, and then intentionally redirect their focus, perhaps onto a breathing exercise or a visualization of their long-term goal. Through this discipline, each temptation faced becomes a lesson, a step toward greater mastery. They understand that every such moment is an internal duel between their higher self and lower urges. Facing temptation also fosters humility. It reminds us that no one is immune. Even the strongest, most disciplined individuals encounter moments of weakness. Crucially, these moments are not failures, but opportunities, a test to be learned from. Nietzsche believed that the capacity to confront and overcome one's temptations with integrity is what elevates human beings from ordinary beings to those capable of extraordinary self-mastery. Taking this view further, imagine a person in a position of authority, a leader or mentor, who remains calm and unshaken when others succumb to pressure or temptations of greed, dishonesty, or hubris. Their strength isn't absent of temptation. Rather, it is defined by how consistently they resist. Their unwavering discipline signals to others that true power resides within, an inner sovereignty rooted in moral integrity and self-control. This example highlights that every temptation resisted is a testament not only to personal virtue, but also to inspiring leadership. Nietzsche's philosophy invites us to reframe temptations as vital rites of passage. Each moment of struggle is an initiation, an opportunity to affirm your commitment to your highest self. When faced with desire, take a moment to observe it, recognize its fleeting nature, and choose consciously whether to indulge or abstain. This act of conscious choice transforms what could be a moment of weakness into a declaration of strength. Furthermore, every temptation resisted enriches your inner narrative. I am the master of my appetites. I am disciplined. I am resilient. This narrative is the foundation of genuine self-confidence, a confidence that isn't fragile or superficial, but rooted in truth. It's an inner seed that, when cultivated, blossoms into unwavering resolve, inspiring others and affirming your capacity to shape your life intentionally. Finally, Nietzsche believed that embracing the struggle with temptation is essential for authentic self-creation. The journey of mastering self-control is not a single triumph or fleeting effort. It is an ongoing, deliberate process, an art of living intentionally. Nietzsche emphasized that genuine strength isn't achieved overnight, but is cultivated through persistent daily practices that become woven into the fabric of our lives. Turning self-control into a lifestyle requires more than sporadic acts of discipline. It demands a persistent commitment to daily rituals, reflective practices, and intentional choices that reinforce our higher goals. Imagine a person who, every morning, begins the day with 5 minutes of meditation or mindful breathing. This simple act sets a tone of calm focus, anchoring their mind in the present and reinforcing their purpose. Over time, this becomes a foundation, a steadying force that prepares them for the day's challenges. It's not a burden, but a privilege, a daily reaffirmation that mastery is a journey, not a destination. Nietzsche believed that consistent habits are the scaffolding upon which extraordinary character is built. These habits are like small, deliberate strokes on a canvas. Over time, they create a masterpiece. For this reason, cultivating daily routines, be they physical, mental, or spiritual, is pivotal. These routines serve as reminders of your commitment and serve to reinforce your discipline during moments of weakness. Consider the person committed to physical fitness. Beyond the immediate health benefits, their routine of daily exercise becomes a symbol of resilience, each workout a testament to their discipline. When fatigue or boredom creep in, they remind themselves of the purpose behind their effort, whether it's health, mental clarity, or inner strength. This ongoing commitment transforms discipline from a chore into a source of pride and identity. Nietzsche also emphasized that a lifestyle of self-control involves deliberate boundaries, limiting distractions and temptations, creating a structured environment conducive to growth. For instance, to remain focused on a long-term goal, one might limit social media use, establish fixed working hours, or set guidelines for consumption of entertainment. These boundaries are designed to conserve mental energy and maximize self-mastery. Furthermore, living intentionally involves continuous self-assessment. Periodic reflection, through journaling, contemplation, or meditation, serves as a mirror, helping you gauge your progress, recognize setbacks, and refine your habits. Nietzsche believed that such honest self-awareness is crucial. Without it, discipline risks becoming rote, disconnected from purpose, or worse, a source of guilt. The essence of turning self-control into a lifestyle is consistency, not perfection. Accept that setbacks and failures are inevitable. What matters is the willingness to start again, to learn from mistakes, and to renew your commitment daily. Each day becomes a new opportunity to reaffirm your purpose and realign your actions with your highest values. For example, a young professional aiming for personal growth might dedicate 10 minutes each evening to reading philosophical or motivational texts. This daily ritual keeps their mind focused on growth, resilience, and higher purpose. Over months, these small acts accumulate, shaping a resilient character that refuses to be buffeted by external circumstances. It's about embedding self-discipline into every facet of life: work, relationships, health, and personal development. Living with purpose also demands a clear vision of your values, which serve as your guiding stars. When faced with conflicting temptations, say choosing between leisure and productivity, this internal compass helps you make decisions aligned with your long-term aspirations. Malcolm Gladwell famously discussed the importance of the 10,000 hours of deliberate practice in mastering a skill. Nietzsche's philosophy suggests that mastery over oneself similarly requires hundreds, sometimes thousands, of small, disciplined actions over months and years that form the foundation of a formidable character. This lifestyle isn't driven by harsh self-punishment, but by a deep sense of self-respect and love. When you care genuinely about your growth, every small act of discipline becomes a gift rather than a chore. This attitude transforms the entire process into an act of self-creation, a continual shaping of your character into something stronger, more authentic, and more liberated. Living intentionally also involves setting up your environment to support your growth. This may include arranging your surroundings to promote focus, choosing peer groups that inspire discipline, or establishing routines that reinforce your values. Nietzsche recognized that environment and habit shape the soul. Thus, creating a conducive environment is an act of self-mastery. Over time, these intentional routines and disciplined choices become part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone committed to growth, not out of obligation, but as an expression of your inner values. This deep anchoring in purpose creates a resilient mental state that radiates calm, confidence, and authority. When others observe your consistent discipline, they perceive a strength that is rooted in integrity, not superficial showmanship. Another vital aspect is embracing the idea of eternal return, Nietzsche's notion that we should live as if we would repeat our lives infinitely. When you consistently cultivate self-control, discipline, and inner mastery, something profound begins to happen, not just within you, but in how others perceive and respond to you. True influence doesn't stem from loud words or forced authority. It emanates from a deep wellspring of inner strength and unwavering presence. Nietzsche believed that the person's quiet power, the calm demeanor that remains unshaken in the face of chaos, commands respect and admiration without effort or overt assertion. When you master yourself, you naturally become a beacon that draws others in and leaves them speechless. Picture a figure of unwavering calm, a leader, an artist, or a thinker, whose every action seems deliberate, whose words are measured, and whose presence exudes confidence. Their strength lies in their inner discipline, in their mastery over impulses, and in their refusal to be swept away by external circumstances. Such a person radiates a kind of magnetic authority that compels others to listen and follow without the need for bluster or dominance. The ability to stay centered in moments of crisis, to maintain composure when everything around you is unraveled, is what leaves an indelible impression. Think of a CEO during a company crisis, or a diplomat negotiating peace amid chaos. Their calm unshakability acts like an anchor that stabilizes others, drawing admiration and influence by simply embodying resilience. Their power is internal. It's rooted in their discipline and their commitment to self-control, which they have cultivated over time. Nietzsche observed that such individuals possess what he called greatness, a rare kind of strength that is understated yet formidable. They don't need to boast. Their confidence is quiet and genuine. It's a natural consequence of knowing who they are and what they stand for. Their inner integrity becomes a silent testimony that influences others profoundly without overt effort. This mastery over oneself also bestows a form of magnetic charisma. When you live with purpose, act with integrity, and possess calm assurance, others are naturally drawn to you. They sense the stability and clarity that come from inner discipline. It's akin to a mountain standing tall amid a storm, visible, steady, and impossible to shake. Such a presence often leaves people speechless because it challenges superficial notions of strength based solely on external displays of power. Furthermore, when others observe someone who remains composed while facing temptations or provocations, they are left in awe. Resisting the allure of immediate gratification, responding thoughtfully instead of reactively, demonstrates a strength that inspires admiration and respect. It's a powerful lesson that true influence isn't about control over others, but over oneself. When you master your impulses, others see not a person ruled by fleeting desires, but a person who commands their own inner landscape. This influence creates ripple effects. Others are inspired to elevate their own standards and cultivate discipline. Your unwavering self-control becomes a model, an unspoken guide that reveals what's possible when one commits fully to mastery. In this way, your quiet strength becomes contagious, inspiring a culture of resilience and purpose among those around you. Beyond inspiring others, mastering self-control also grants you the ability to effect genuine change. When you are anchored in discipline and guided by clear values, your actions resonate with authenticity and conviction. People pick up on this authenticity, and it enhances your credibility. This credibility is what makes your words more persuasive, your presence more commanding, and your influence more lasting. In the realm of leadership, Nietzsche's ideal individual embodies the philosopher king, one who leads not by command, but by example. Their inner strength and self-control set the tone for others to follow. Such leadership is rooted in authenticity rather than arrogance. It leaves others speechless because it demonstrates that true power flows from within, not from external authority or superficial displays of dominance. Ultimately, the greatest impact of mastering self-control is how it transforms your relationship with others. When you radiate calm, self-assurance, and purpose, people are naturally drawn to your energy. They sense that you operate from a place of inner abundance, not scarcity or desperation, and that certainty leaves them in awe. Your actions, driven by discipline and inner strength, create a quiet but formidable presence that leaves others speechless, not by intimidation, but through inspiring admiration and respect. Finally, I want to invite you to reflect on your own potential. If you found value in this journey of mastery, consider what it means to truly develop that inner power. If you're committed to becoming someone who leaves others speechless, not through arrogance but through genuine strength, then I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Join this community of seekers dedicated to elevating their minds, their spirits, and their lives. Together we can forge a path of mastery, resilience, and profound influence.